Right now, though, Sybil, I want to talk about police investigating the targeted killing of 2 Minnesota lawmakers. We've mentioned it already a bunch this morning in the headlines. The suspected killer was arrested late last night following a manhunt that lasted almost 48 hours.
57-year-old Vance Luther Belter is the suspect. He's said to have been wearing police gear and a mask when he arrived at the homes of lawmakers. He escaped police after being confronted and left a hit list with dozens of other lawmakers' names on it. So much of that now, though, is we're focusing on the lives being lost.
Yeah, and Senator Mark Kelly and his wife, former Congresswoman Gabby Gifford, who was shot years ago, of course, if you remember, made a social media post. I want to play some of that now before we bring in our legal expert, Jeremy Rosenthal.
Hey, folks, this is a really difficult day in our country where 2 state legislators in Minnesota have been targeted and shot in their homes.
So sad, so sad.
So Representative Melissa Hortman was killed along with her husband, Mark. And we're thinking of them and their family today, especially their 2 kids.
Yes, yes, yes. Good friends.
Yeah, really sad. Jeremy Rosenthal, legal expert, joins us now. TexasDefenseFirm.com is the website. Jeremy, thanks for coming on to talk about this.
You got it, Clayton. How are you?
Doing well. Let's start here, and then I want to talk about some of the impacts of like protecting lawmakers in Texas and things like that, just the implications. But what are the charges against Vance Belter, and what are we dealing with here legally as far as this guy? And this is some scary stuff.
Really scary stuff. Right now, he's facing murder charges and attempted murder charges in the state of Minnesota. What I'm reading is that he's charged with what's called a second degree, which is kind of a lower murder. I would expect that this gets enhanced. Just based on the preparation, based on the premeditation, the man dressed up as a police officer. He has a list of people. This is not something that this is not catching your spouse with somebody else and getting angry. That's what a lower degree of homicide is for. Also, the U.S. Attorney's Office and the federal authorities are clearly looking into this. He's got an extensive list from what we're reading. This is obviously a really developing story. But you would expect this to potentially go the way of Luigi Mangione, who is facing the death sentence in New York State. A lot of overlap here with that type of situation.
Does Minnesota have the death penalty?
I don't believe it does, but the feds do. And like I was saying, you would think that they're going to throw the book at this guy every which way that they possibly can. Maybe there's a mental health defense here. We just simply don't know. It's very early. From what we're reading and what we're seeing, there's just no way around the fact that it was politically motivated in some way.
Yeah. Jeremy Rosenthal, legal expert, with us this morning. We're talking about the charges against the suspect in the killing of one lawmaker in Minnesota and the attempted killing of another. Of course, her husband killed as well in this. Jeremy, have you seen some of the video footage of the Minnesota lawmaker Melissa Hortman speaking with reporters before she was killed? She was emotional because of a vote that she made, the only Democrat to vote one way in this particular case. And I believe it had to do with health care for illegal immigrants. She was really shaken up by it, and then not long after that, she was murdered. So we talk about politically motivated killings. There's a lot of aspects to that when it comes to this case.
Certainly there is. There's an article in the Dallas Morning News today that kind of details it, and just the rise in the temperature in this country. It talks about polls that were taken where up to a quarter of Americans today think that political violence is acceptable or needed to fix whatever's wrong in the country, which is a very scary proposition if you think about it. Over the last 2, 3, 5 years, we've had Donald Trump. There's been multiple assassination attempts on his life. You've got Paul Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi's husband, was attacked with a hammer. Steve Scalise, the ranking member, one of the ranking members in the Republican House, shot. There's just a lot here, and we certainly hope. I think everybody hopes that this is not the way of the future.
Right. Well, we always enjoy your insight. Thank you so much for joining us. TexasDefenseFirm.com is where you can find our legal expert, Jeremy Rosenthal. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Sybil. Bye-bye.